Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of the indicator store of the series Do It Yourself. On previous videos we saw how to optimize the settings of a strategy that was calculating the crossover between two exponential moving average. And I just got an email asking for which are the best parameters of a certain indicator. So in my opinion, it is better to explain how you can get by yourself those parameters. So I guess I will create a new video explaining the process to create a strategy as we saw before the last week. But instead of looking at the crossover between two moving average, the custom strategy that the user is requesting, in this case it is a MACD crossover, but not a standard MACD. It is a MACD HMA. And this is the custom indicator, the MACD HMA. This indicator creates those signals. This is just a standard MACD. The red line is the MACD, the blue line is the average, and those dots are plots with the signals that we can copy and use on another from a strategy, for example. This is, in my opinion, a system to be filtered, but maybe this is just a MACD, so we can optimize the parameters to get the best of the best, but always, in my opinion, you should filter your signal with something else. On the MACD, we use a fast moving average, a slow moving average. We calculate the difference. That difference is the MACD. And then we calculate the average of that MACD on the last 9 bars, for example. Here it is the same, but we use an HMA for the fast and for the slow lines. And the difference is the MACD, and then again we calculate an average between the two lines. And this indicator also creates signals with these two custom plots when we have a cross between the MACD and the average of the MACD. So let's create a builder strategy. I think this indicator is already including an example strategy, but anyway, if it is not, or you have a different indicator, it is very simple to create. The strategy should be including the with HMA crossover and also the filtered version, like this. But anyway, let's see how we can create this by ourselves. So we go to new strategy builder. Choose a name for this, okay? Please don't ask me for the strategy, because maybe I am going to delete this strategy later. The idea is that you copy or follow the steps that we are doing here. So let's name this my custom strategy X2 and automate the plots painted by this indicator. So we need parameters. The parameters are usually the target and the stop, and also the parameters of the indicator. So let me start with the target and the stop. And now the parameters of the indicator that we want to optimize, because maybe we are not interested in optimizing one of them. So we have fast, slow, and smooth. The default for the fast is 12. Then we have slow, 26, and smooth, 9. So we add the target and the stop and each one of the parameters of the indicator that we want to optimize. Now we can calculate longs and short. We don't need to calculate because we only need to check that the plot of the indicator exists. This plot is entry long. When it shows NA, it means non-available. So we only need, the only thing that we need is to reference the indicator. On this case, it is TIS crossover MACD HMA with the three parameters that we added to the strategy. So we map those parameters to what we defined at the beginning of the strategy: fast, slow, and smooth. So now this strategy is doing exactly the same than the indicator. Now, which plot I want to check? Not the line, not the average, but the entry long. The possible values of entry long are non-available when there is nothing, or the value where the signal is painted. So to check that it exists, it should be different than 0. No greater, because sometimes it is negative, okay, here for example. So not equal 0 means that it is painted somewhere, it exists. So now we have an idea that there is a blue dot anywhere. And just for checking, let's draw a signal. The easiest signal to paint is painting the background. And now for the short, we can duplicate the tab and change the plot. The only difference is the plot of the indicator. Instead of entry long, is entry short. And the same as before, it should be different than 0. Oh, we have a new parameter here, the threshold. I forgot to include that. So when the plot entry short is not equal to 0, it means that it is painted. Then we paint the background in a different color, something not so dark, like this. And now we have longs and shorts. But I have a missing parameter. Let me check if the parameter is important. We have the 3 standard parameters of the MACD, but we have also threshold. I guess with the threshold we can fine-tune the settings. For example, this is something similar to what we did on the last session. With threshold, you can control how many signals. For example, this blue dot means we can specify which is the minimum distance that the red line must cross above the blue line to have a signal. The threshold here is really small, it is almost 0. So we have the blue dot. Now, increasing that threshold, and we need to check the vertical scale to have an idea how much to add. With 1, it is still present. With 2, it is still painted. With 3, it is no longer there, okay? Because the red line is never greater than the blue line for more than 3 points. Sorry, 3 ticks, I think it is this indicator. So with the threshold, we can control, we can filter the signals where the lines are too close one each other, so there's no significant cross. So this is an important parameter. I want to add this to the strategy. So add threshold. We saw that this is a number with decimals, so we need to use double. By default, no threshold, okay, 0. And now we add that missing parameter to the 2 places where we call the indicator. Okay. Now we have the three parameters and the missing one, the threshold. We need to map it to the input parameter of the strategy threshold. The same for the shorts. Okay, this threshold mapped to the input parameter threshold. And now we have everything ready. All the parameters of the indicator mapped to the strategy. And when we have a dot, we paint the background. We can compile and add to the chart just for checking if it is painting the background on the correct places. And now we can add the strategy to the chart just for checking if it is doing what we are trying to do. The indicator is using 12, 26, and 9. So we need to place the same parameters on the strategy. The name is my custom strategy x2. And the parameters are 12, 26, 9, and 0. Yes, it is correct. All the same. Now, if we enable the strategy, we can see that we have the signals on the exact same places. But look at the left, we have a lot of signals where the two lines are too close, one each other. So maybe with a bigger threshold, we can get rid of some of them. For example, 5. And now we can see that the indicator is no longer painting signals here because the crossovers are almost insignificant. Now let's see if the strategy does the same with the same parameter. And yes, we can see it is exactly following to the indicator. So now we are ready to finish the automation. We only need to add orders. Where we paint in blue, we add an enter long. Where we paint in this color, enter short. And finally, we have orders. Now we need a target and a stop. We add a target in ticks defined by the input parameter of the strategy target. And the same for the stop. So we add a stop in ticks defined by the input parameter stop. Okay. And now we have a complete strategy. Compile. And now, if we apply the strategy to the chart, it should be placed in orders. But on 5 minutes, the 10 ticks, I think it is too short or too small. Yes, the targets are almost insignificant, no? Almost imperceptible. So maybe if this is only 10 ticks, maybe 50 is at this place, more or less. Let's check it. 50 versus 50. Enable. And yes, now we can see the size of how much is 50 ticks on this instrument. Now that we have the strategy, we can optimize the parameters. That was the reason that we did the strategy. So let's open a strategy analyzer. And let's try to sweep all the possible parameters of the strategy. The strategy name is my custom x2. We can see all the parameters are present. We select optimization. And let me start with NQ 5 minutes. We can leave the default session template. In my case, it is 24 hours. And do the analysis with 1, 2, 3 months, including commissions. And starting with targets between 40 and 400 in intervals of 40. That is 10 different combinations. The same for the stop, between 40 and 400 in intervals of 40, another 10 combinations. So in total, now we have 10 multiplied by 10, 100 combinations. But then we have the fast, the slow, the smooth, and the threshold. Okay, a lot of parameters. Now, what can we do? For the fast, we can try something really fast, is 5 to 50 in intervals of 5. For the slow, we can try, it can be any combination, but just to have an idea, on the first run, we can try 20 to 100, but this is an HMA, so this is really fast. Let me try 200 in intervals of 10. For the smoothness should be something small, but how small? I think with 1 we don't get any signal because the MACD is equal to the average. Let me try. If we use a smoothness of 1, usually the MACD is equal to the average, so they never cross, no? No, yes, they are overlapped. So the minimum here is 2. Okay, and the maximum, so between 2 and how much is the maximum? Maybe 20, 15. Yeah, 15. They are too far one from the other, but we can try. Between 2 to 15 in intervals of 1, with more precision. And for the threshold, as what we saw, we cannot try between 0.1 and 0.5 because it is the same for this example. So we need to check for each instrument which are the minimum and maximum numbers to test. I think with 0, we have a lot of signals, and with 10, with 10 we have here 10 ticks. So maybe 20 ticks. 50 is too much. I think, yes, with 50 we don't get any signals. 20 is the biggest number in my opinion for this instrument and time frame. So we can try this between 0 to 20 in intervals of, I don't know, maybe 2. Now the problem is how many combinations we have here, because we have a lot of different parameters. If we click on run, we can see at the bottom that we have 2 millions, almost 3 millions combinations. Okay, that's too much. So we have two options: or we increase the time intervals, or we leave one of the parameters or several parameters locked to something that we suppose it is okay. For example, the fast. Let's leave the fast fixed to the default 12. Okay, not testing the fast, and we test everything else. Now the total number of combination is almost 300,000. For that, 1% of that is 3,000. So on the genetic method, we will need more or less 3,000 backtests, which is normal, which is possible. But for this example, I am going to test only 1,000, okay? Because we don't have so much time. To get 1,000 backtests, we need a generation size of 100 tested 10 times. Okay, 10 multiplied by 100 is, if I want to test 3,000, set 300 as initial set. So now we are testing 1,000 combinations sorted by profit factor. Maybe we get the error that we saw on the previous video. I am going to pause And here we have results. And this is the result that I was commenting and what we saw on the previous session. It is sorting by the best profit factor, and the best profit factor is of course 100. But the problem is the statistic has a small sample, only 7 for the maximum here at the bottom is 10 trades. So I don't want a statistic with so low number of trades. You can increase that number, they keep the best numbers of trades, or use a custom optimization fitness. And we may see on a future session how to create a custom fitness for that, because you can increase this number. Okay, so instead of showing only the first 10, you can continue and search for one with more than 100. But it is better, in my opinion, edit the custom optimization fitness and use something with filter out all the solutions with less than 100 trays. Now it is going faster because most of the data has been loaded. And now we can see that we have more useful results, because 400 trays is a lot more than 100. Okay, so all of them are valid statistics. The only number I don't like, as I was commenting on the previous video, is the percentage, the win percentage. I prefer something bigger than 20, smaller than 80. Let me check the equity cure. The equity cure is okay. The only thing I don't like is this number slightly above 80. That means that we have a small target. And I don't like having small target or a ratio between the target and stop so big like in this case. But we can test different time frames, different instruments. But let's say that we want to keep searching, okay? Because this result is okay. We can focus on here and start fine-tuning the settings. But we have a fixed parameter here, 12. So we can try different fast moving average. For example, instead of 12 versus 20, we can try maybe 18 or let's say 25. 25 for the fast, that means that the slow should be slightly above that. If we have 25, we cannot try a slow smaller than that, no? So we can start with 30. So now we have an idea where is the best solution, if with a fast moving average of 15 or 25 or whatever. Okay, the solution is not bad. The win percentage is even bigger. We have two good solutions, the first and the second, but the equity cure is something I don't like here. This equity cure is okay. It is going up slightly, but the win percentage is even bigger than before. The target is small, and we have 25 versus 80. A smoothness of 7 and a threshold of 18. Very close to the maximum. We can try in the other direction. Instead of making the fast slower, make it faster. For example, 8. That means that the slow can be starting from 10. Don't forget that we are only testing 1000 combinations. So when you do this on your computer, you should be testing more than 1000 or clicking on run several times. By now, I just was lucky that the first run we got good results, but this is not always the case, okay? You can increase this number, the generation size. Okay, this result is very good. Good profit factor, but again the percentage, the win percentage is bigger than what I prefer. It is not bad, but I prefer again having a solution with a ratio between the target and the stop smaller. Maybe 1 to 3, 1 to 5, no? But here is more or less 1 to 6. We can also try different time frames. Now we have 8 versus 160 with a smoothness of 14. I think the best combination by now is the initial. But this is just a snapshot of how you can start to focus on finding the best parameters of an indicator. This is an unfiltered indicator, so my suggestion is try to filter by something. Maybe when the market is going down, like here, we can take only shorts. Maybe we can filter that with the slope of a line. Maybe an HMA, maybe an exponential moving average. For example, we can use an EMA of 100. So when the line is going down, we take only shorts. That means that we can use we can pay less attention to the threshold of the indicator because we are filtering the signal from with another method, not from the indicator. If we want to do that on Builder, we can add another parameter to define the filter of the period of the filter. No? Here we are using 100. And now on the longs, I want the blue line going up. So we can say that the indicator EMA of a period that we just specified is going up. How can I say that it is going up? Okay, the EMA now on the current bar is greater than the same EMA 1 bar ago. So the same indicator EMA of the same period, the input parameter, but 1 bar ago. This is like comparing the line on the current bar and 1 bar ago. Okay, so it is going up. You can copy that and paste it on the shorts. And the only difference is that for the shorts, I want it to be going down. So the current bar is less than 1 bar ago. Now, if I compile this version, on the strategy analyzer, we should get a new parameter, another parameter to optimize. But again, we can pay less attention to the threshold or leave it locked to 0 or whatever. Let me try. Let's say we don't optimize the threshold, we leave it on 0, but we optimize the filter. So which are the minimum and the maximum that we can test for this filter? Let me try. For example, 50 is the average in my opinion. 50 is a good filter. And the fastest maybe 20. 20 is too tight to the price action, so not acting as a filter but more as a trigger. And 200 is okay. So we can try between 20 and 200. Sorry, this is the threshold. The threshold is 0, okay? No threshold. But now we can test the period of the filter between 20 and 200 in intervals of, I don't know, 20. So we have 10 different combinations. Just to have an idea, a quick and fast report. And for the fast, let's go back to the original because I think it was working better. 12. So the slope should be bigger than that, maybe 15 or 20, 50. Let's see how it works. Now, this is a filtered MACD, filtered by the slope of an exponential moving average. And everything starting from any indicator. We can add as many conditions as we want, like for example the volume. We don't want to trade when there is no volume, so that's another good filter. And this is nice, good number of trades, and now the win percentage is slightly lower than before. It is close to 80. The fast is fixed to 12, the slow is 115, the smoothness is 10, no threshold, but we are filtering with an exponential moving average of 160. Anyway, this is how we can automate an indicator to then optimize the parameters with Strategy Analyzer. Hope this video has been useful. As usual, I comment we have a chat room on Discord. The access is free, where you can comment and post questions. We also have a training about these topics: create and automate and optimize strategies. If you are interested, contact me on the chat room. The instructions are on the description of this video. Thank you. Bye bye.